Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our next Turbocharge Your Career webinar series. My name is Elaine Tanimura. I'm part of the PamTen SheTech organizations, and we wanted to welcome you to today's event. We're just going to go through a few housekeeping items. We're going to record the session. You probably just heard that. All of you will be on mute during the webinar. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box and we will answer them at the end. And we will be providing a recording, a link to the recording after today's session. So I'd just like to tell you a little bit about PamTen. PamTen is a global IT staffing and solutions company located in Canada, 2 offices in Canada, the United States, and India. We have a broad range of services from IT staffing, strategic advisory services, custom IT solutions, cybersecurity, and product development. SheTech is a nonprofit organization that was founded by PamTen. Our mission is to develop a pipeline of qualified women to fill critical roles in IT. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to today's presenters. Sujal, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thanks, Elaine, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sujal Nair. I am, experienced veteran from an IT industry. I've been into various roles, into project management, in and around cloud and analytics and AI. And we have one more panelist who is Fahad. Fahad, over to you.
Hi, everyone. This is Fahad. I've been working with the analytics industry for the last 10-11 years. I've executed analytics platforms for various industries across retail, manufacturing, energy and utilities, ITs, and organizations. I think today I'm joining Sujal to help people understand what we have for analytics for the new guys who want to get onto this. Looking forward for the conversation.
Okay, so let me go to the next slide. Okay, so in today's agenda, what we have is an introduction of the path from the expert, and then we will be talking through the job trends that we see in the analytics area, and what are the skills that is required, or how you can skill yourself in the analytics space, and the kind of challenges or the kind of roadmap and hurdles that you may hit, or how you can be successful overcoming those would be some points of discussion that we would have, and the technologies that you can probably acquire to be, someone who can have a successful career on the analytics area. So these would be the agenda items. Okay, so we start with the high level digital transformation piece, okay, which is more in and around the 3 key areas today, which covers cloud, data science, and analytics. And the good part is analytics is something that runs through all these 3 areas. So the outcomes of data science is something that is very much utilized through data analytics. Cloud, starting from troubleshooting to utilization to scalability to whatever you can think in and around cloud, is something which is very much dependent on data analytics. So probably I would get into a question here for Fahad, right? Like Fahad, what is your experience with cloud analytics, and how data analytics plays a role into the data science area?
Right. I think, we have. So digital transformation is a journey for almost all organizations that are looking at modernizing their platforms and their businesses, right? So historically, there have been various technologies that have supported the businesses at that point of time, and they were the best. But if you consider the age that we are in, the industry 4.0, there are a lot of things that are changing. So there's a lot of demand for optimization that is coming in, right? So we had the invention, we had the innovation, we had the mass production, like manufacturing, rapidly increasing the production, right? Now, while that has happened over the last couple of decades, what we are seeing now is a requirement to optimize all of those deployments or setups so that you can drive more value and grow the business, right? The demand for products is increasing, the demand for manufacturing is increasing, the demand for technology is increasing. Now, how do you address a huge demand with limited resources? By optimizing every bit of it, what you have. So be it from energy utilization, be it from process management, be it from material and supply management, be it raw material management, natural resources management, any space that you see is where people are trying to optimize. How do you optimize? Only when you have the right set of information or insights about what is being used, right? That brings us to the topic of data, right? If without data, nobody will be able to understand what's happening and nobody will be able to optimize it. Along with that, what we are seeing here, again, the pandemic last 2 years has taught us that the very much high importance of being mobile, right? So the work from home capabilities of organization help them drive their business where there were lockdowns or where there were restrictions, right? In spite of all of these things, the business has been growing, has been moving forward. People are working, organizations are competing. The reason is they were on cloud, they were able to do things remotely, and I think that's the future that we are looking at, where most of it will be through remote locations, people traveling across the globe and working from anywhere that they think they need it. Now, that's where, again, to enable that, you definitely need to have that data mobile. You need to have all of that information available to the people to make right decisions. So definitely digital transformation is playing a pivotal role in analytics, and that's why we're seeing, while organizations are moving to implementing data analytics solutions, data science solutions, or cloud, they are definitely looking at data and analytics as the core part of this entire thing.
Great, that's a lot of impactful thought that we have, as you said, right? As you started with, these three are kind of pillars in today's industrial revolution that we see in and around IT or Industry 4.0. So in terms of landscape that we see, over last few years and how things have been moving, we have a lot of opportunities that is coming in and around data and cloud. That's the obvious part that most of us have been talking about. However, if you really look at the top data roles that we see, they are in and around data analyst and scientists or data scientists, which are completely related to data. The second most in-demand job is more of AI and machine learning specialist. And, like if you look at the North America perspective, we have most of these roles, starting from the cloud DevOps engineers to data analysts. These are the kind of roles that is high in demand. Whenever you log on to any of the job portals, these are the few roles that you can always see. And these are one of the most highest paid jobs compared to the ones that are in decline, like data entry and stuff, though they are related to data, but it's no more manual data entry that is required today. It's all about APIs and, how you connect to the data, making it more automatable and making it more as a hard point. Data availability at any time disposal is more important than just having the data, because we are using, or every minute it's like petabytes of data is getting created, starting from your Instagram to your Google search to whatever area you pick up. So the data mobility becomes a key with cloud, and data analysis is one of those key areas that plays a bigger role in terms of any industry. So it's actually cuts through all the industries that comes into picture, starts to, you name it, we need data analytics there. So probably, Fahad, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, in line to what we have been seeing, right? So the digital transformation bringing a lot of changes. Like I said, every industry is trying to optimize and move into the digital era, right? So data analytics, cloud, and data science have become eminent and are very important for every organization at this point of time to be able to, like I said, optimize and utilize the resources that they have to manage their customers or deliver what they are doing. And that's where you're seeing that results very evidently in the job market, right? So the kind of job roles that are coming in. I think the job roles that are declining have become redundant, right? That could be administrative processes. Nowadays, there are a lot of SaaS organizations which are automating bookkeeping, accounting, administrative. There are chatbots that become your personal assistants, right? So even a simple iPhone can actually become your personal assistant to do a lot of things that you ideally hire like a personal assistant historically. Again, data entry is kind of an absolute job at this point of time, because now you see everything. Our phones, our phones itself have card readers, receipt readers, right? All you have to do is scan. And now, in fact, you're seeing even the hotel restaurant menus are now using barcode scanners given the pandemic, right? So again, in last, while we could have still debated last 2 years back, but the last 2 years have taught the entire world to go digital. So like you would have seen the restaurants giving you no touch payment, no touch ordering of food, everything through your mobile or your personal, and everything is automated. That itself explains why these roles are actually declining and what kind of roles are coming. Now, when I talk about that mobile phone capabilities, right? How are they able to do it? Right? They're using machine learning, they're using AI, they're using certain analytics, they're using cloud, right? So the mobile device, when you scan a restaurant menu, that is processed through a scanning software that is hosted elsewhere. So it scans the menu and gives you the information. Again, where the app that you're using is hosted in cloud, the app that you're using has some insights built into it, which gives you recommendations to a lot of things, right? So all of these things are definitely the focus that every organization. Now, while I gave you a very simple example of restaurant and a day-to-day life, this is very evident in the manufacturing industries. The assembly lines are highly automated. Everything that is being manufactured, from iPhones to cars, everything has an assembly line which is with arms and with equipment that is highly automated, highly controlled. It has, every equipment has IoT sensors. From it, the sensors manage or monitor the temperature, the oil level, the movement of the equipment. They also manage how many times they do predictive maintenance, where to figure out how many, is there any part that is coming off life, or are there any highlights that could tell us when this equipment can fail. So again, what does that need? All of these things need basically data capturing. The IoT devices need cloud, so that the data is moved to cloud and processed faster. Then there is edge computing, again, that is based on cloud principles. Then you definitely need data analytics and AI and machine learning, right? So all of these things clearly make you understand what it clearly help you understand that the kind of roles that the industry is emphasizing. And it's never gonna plateau immediately, right? If you ask me, the way I look at it, this is definitely going into a very skewed or very bullish growth that would just take it vertical, right? So you would see more and more organizations utilizing this. As and when more and more organizations utilize, you definitely need to build more and more things, and that's where you see the job trend, and you definitely see those roles automatically growing.
Great. So beginning when the analyst as a career, this is a lot of items or a lot of core skills that is required here, right? Like what we see on the screen. So how do we interpret these skills, Fahad? Like, what are the approaches?
Just give me a
like,
second.
do we need all of them, or do we go?
I think the feedback is audio is not clear. Let me switch my audio. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, sure. Yeah, probably I can continue in terms of, the thought that I have.
Yeah.
So in terms of, the skills, being able to research is something, that's a key for any role. Like when you start getting skills, or rather skill yourself, or what role you need to pick up, or what learning you need to pick up, the key is definitely the research that you do. That's the starting step. But yes, from a data analyst perspective, your research is not going to just end once you get yourself skilled. It's basically you would be researching on the data set that is provided to you or that you receive on daily basis. So it's like an ongoing activity of research on day in, day out, probably, far as you're back. What do you think? Well, is the thought right, or how do you perceive the research piece of it here?
Right. See, one of the major aspects is if somebody's, I hope my audio is clear now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. So what I was telling is, I think the biggest perception that is built over a period of time is if somebody wants to build a data analyst career, everybody starts looking at advanced courses, starts looking at graduation. Now, in fact, if you go to the market now, there are a lot of universities which are running these courses, right? So immediately people start thinking data analytics is a very high-level topic and very difficult to understand, or they try to look at advanced things. The first thing that I would recommend for anybody who's looking at a data analytics career is getting the core skills. Not necessary that you have to spend time, right? You would have acquired these skills over a period of time when you are actually going through your education cycle, right? Be it research, problem solving, data metrics, interpreting, reporting, brainstorming, organization, communication, diagnostic, troubleshooting, creative, theorizing. All of these things play a pivotal role in a data analytics space, right? Now, data analytics is just not about creating creating an Excel report or creating a chart, right? It is a lot of things. You can succeed in this career only when you are able to get the right information out of the data. So that's where the research part comes in very as an important key capability that every user, every developer needs to understand. Problem solving becomes another key aspect where you just can't use your, you just can't make 4 clicks and let the data bring the insights, right? So trust me, the way the organizations are using data applications, there's a lot of data in a lot of places. The biggest problem becomes for any analyst is to bring the data together. So unless you have the problem solving capabilities, you will not be able to fetch those data sources, understand what is required, do the research and solve all the challenges that are there, and understand how do you integrate that data to bring the data and metrics. Now, data and metrics is a very simple skill that everybody needs to have, and it's in fact it grows with us, right? So we definitely have this. For example, when you're going on Amazon.com or any other online shopping website nowadays, you would have seen, right? So when you click on a product, you get a lot of insights about the product. How many reviews, who has looked at it, how many times it has been sold, what is the price, what is the comparative price to other products, which are the other similar products that are there. So what are these? These are all data and metrics that you as a user or a shopper, when you go to the website, you get these metrics to make those decisions. Now, this is what you have to enhance in yourself, right? You already have these basic capabilities. It's not that you have to go and do a 1-year course to understand this, right? You already have these. You already do these calculations. When you go to a grocery store, you look at the receipt and do the calculation. These are all the basic skills that you have. Only thing you have to do is realize them and build on them. So make sure that you understand what data is. So you can, in your day-to-day life, bring in data and understand various metrics. That will help you improve on being a successful data analyst, right? Interpreting, that's what I spoke about. When you have all the data, you can interpret the entire data. Reporting, of course, whatever you find out, you research, you'll be able to deliver that. So organization, communication, diagnostic, or key capabilities, I think those are very general for every kind of job role. But yes, if you have these structured, then you can have a really robust data analyst career. You yourself have spent a lot of time into data analytics. How was that for you?
So I would say that, as you pointed out, few of the right things, I would add the creativity as one of the key area again, because again, like it should be on the other side, considering how we showcase the data is very important. And
Yes.
showcasing data has to be exciting, because again, like if you are reporting metrics, most of the time it's either a watermelon effect, or else it's more of a, green and red. That's all you see, or most of it is usually red, and you get beaten up for it, right? But how you present that and how creatively you can put that forward, and so that you can use the right colors, you can have the right approach, and how the data would make sense, right? Like where you place a certain graph, and where you place a specific number on the screen is very important, so that when you're reading through the screen, when you're coming from right to left or left to right, you should be able to, if you're not clicking on it, you can at least be able to figure out that when you are moving one step at a time, or a one grid at a time, it makes sense how that data would add up totally. And just like a way a painting works, right? Like you have a story behind it. So the storyline has to be very clear, and that's where the creativity part of it as a data visualization expert or a data analyst comes into picture. So creativity is one of the keys that I consider as a part of data analytics.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because again, as you say that you have those world heat maps and all those, how do you put that forward, right? How do you put it? Where do you put that information? How that information would lead to the next level or next step of information? So that placement all comes in through the, the intelligence of how your problem solving skills are, and the creativity to put that forward so that people understand it in the right way.
Correct. Yeah.
So in addition, I think, these are a few of the additional tools or technologies that we usually use, and Excel being the very basic and the daily driver for data analytics. Like I think probably most of us have been listening and hearing and using Excel for a zillion years now, right? And
Right.
I think it has a lot of capabilities, and it's one of the most powerful data analytics tool that a layman can also use. But as we grow bigger, and when we have bigger data set, automatically you have to move into various other solutions like SQL, NoSQL, or any of those solutions, or any of those databases that would act being lighter, but can make those impact and make those connectivities to various visualization tools for presentation. And also, like if you are referring to visualization, that leads me to those tools like Tableau, ClickSense, and Power BI. So probably I will let you add further on this part, because you are an expert on Click, Tableau, and various other visualization and analytics tool, right? So I would definitely want your thought about these additional skills or additional areas that we might be working on for data analytics.
Yeah, I think these are pretty much the most important basic skills or tools that one should know. The perspective I have is, I think these help you understand the basics of data, basics of querying the data, basics of structuring the data, basics of presenting the data, right? So irrespective whether you want to learn Click, Tableau, Power BI, there are a host of other data intelligence solutions, right? Business intelligence solutions. Irrespective of what you want to do, I think the basic thing I would say is Excel, because it at least helps you understand how do you put data into tables, right? Into columns and rows, and what nitty-gritties are there in that basic data. So my journey started with Excel, to be frank and honest. I was doing reports in Excel. So I used to generate daily reports, monthly reports, weekly reports. At one point, I used to run close to 800 reports in a month, right? Again, different frequencies. So my job, my role was purely about reporting. So out of 8 hours in a day, I used to spend creating Excel reports. Another question, like that's where, right? The basic understanding I got about data and reporting was through Excel. Once I mastered Excel, or I can't claim to be a master, Excel is a very big ocean. So once I was able to deliver and run my reports for those almost a year, my organization decided that, okay, Excel being a manual process, they need to automate it. That's where I was introduced to Click, and I started working on Click as a business intelligence solution. So my growth was definitely from Excel to the BI solution. And that's one of the best ways to reach BI solution. If you directly start working on the BI solution, right? So it's like building a house without a right foundation, right? You skip the first floor and go to the second floor, that never stands, right? Even if you use any kind of methodology to build. So the whole idea is you need to have the basics right, and to get the basics right, Excel and SQL are pivotal. Right? While Excel helps you understand how the data can be structured or how you could create any calculations or work with data, SQL can help you understand how you could query the data. In fact, most of the databases, right? So if you go out in the market, uh, except for few of them, everybody follow a SQL scripting capability. SQL is not a product or a solution by one company. SQL is a method to write sequential querying language, right? The name itself says. So it's a query language that is used predominantly across all databases. If you can understand the working of SQL language, then you can work with any databases. If you can work with any databases, you can work with any BI solution because the databases ultimately become the source for your BI solution. And almost all BI solutions support SQL querying to bring in data into their solution. So Excel becomes the playground for understanding data. SQL becomes the key language to query data, manipulate data, process data. The third thing I completely agree. A lot of people don't focus on visualization. They focus on the visualizations within the product. Now, what I advise is take a step back and look at visualizations in general. Right? A lot of people start jumping into complex visualizations, but I think we need to understand what does a bar chart say. A bar chart basically has a dimension and the number of bars, right? So I think we need to spend some time on understanding why would you use a bar chart. Now I can't use a bar chart to represent time series data, right? So I can't say that, okay, what's the time series like for every based on time. If I show a bar chart for a product sales, it would give me some information, but that's not the best, right? For time series kind of requirement, a line chart is the best solution. Now this will make you agnostic across BI solutions. So also presentation of these bar charts, how do you place information, right? For example, there are a lot of researchers. If you go in, there are a lot of researchers around presenting information. I'm not talking about analytics. I'm talking about presenting information. A simple thing when you log into any website, you see a lot of UI experiences that are there, right? Some fonts are big, some fonts are small. There are certain images, there are certain charts. What does that mean? So all of those things are enabling a user to follow through information. So when you go to a website, you might see all the content in small letters, in a smaller font, but there might be certain key content highlighted with links or bold letters or bigger fonts. That means when the user is coming into that website, the website owner wants the user to see that particular text, the bold text first, so that he gets the right info or catches his mind. That's exactly what you have to drive when you're presenting data. So you need to structure a matrix and a chart so that when the user is coming in, he gets to see what is the most important part that he should be focusing on. So presentation plays a pivotal role. Database tables, structures, data interpretation, these are all good to have. You can, as you go forward, if you want to grow, you can start building on this. Now, Excel, SQL, visualization, presentation. The only thing I ask everybody is don't focus on a single product. Right? I've worked with Click for quite some time now, but I also know Tableau. I also have worked with Power BI. I can work on Sisense, MicroStrategy. Right? The whole idea is not because I have been working on those products, not because I've been trained on those products, because I spent some time getting the basics, and the basics across these products is the same. Maybe how you create a bar chart in Tableau and is different than how you create a bar chart in Power BI. But you understand my point, right? It's the same bar chart. The data, underlying data comes from a database. So you have to do the same kind of processing, and then ultimately you present it. The only thing that you should focus on a technology is how to, right? Not what to. What is a generic basic structure across technologies? How to is different in every technology, and you learn the technology to understand how to do it. But otherwise, I would say everybody should spend time on what to do by understanding these basic options.
Got you. Thank you, Fahad, for the insight. Okay, so
Right,
here we talk about, yeah, go ahead. Yes, Fahad.
Yeah, so this slide also is like clearly brings out the way the world is moving forward, right? So the technologies can be different. Every organization can buy a different BI solution, but yeah, it is agnostic, right? So the basic skills are agnostic across industry and technologies.
Okay. So now the point is about, how do we stand out with the various technologies and various areas that we have or we go through in terms of data analytics. So the key is to understand the industry, right? Like how it works, what are the key deliverables as part of the roles that you pick up as part of data analytics, and how that can change or influence the output that you provide. So first and foremost thing is to understand the industry, which part of or where you would be using the data analytics, right? So if you're going to use it for sales, are you going to use it for marketing? Are you going to basically use it for influencing your customers? Or you're going to use it for taking the right decision for how to upgrade your cloud services, right? So it depends on understanding that industry. Then the key is about acquiring the right skill so that you can relate the data that you get. The information that you get from various data sources, starting from a cloud that is hosted, can throw you different log information, the amount of hard drive that is being used, or from a marketing perspective, what are the kind of clicks that is being made on Facebook or any other platforms, social media platforms, or what are the customers currently buying as they visit an offline store. So those input is something that can be utilized, right? So acquiring the skills to break those data into consumable format and providing it to the decision makers is the other piece. Then being ready for the industry, that is, as you have worked on the dummy data or whatever data you got, how do you get yourself ready for the industry? How do you associate yourself with the industry and to drive the industry dynamics in terms of influencing it and making the decision right? And when you are capable of doing those, you are actually the job ready person who can get into a role that can be an influential role as a data analyst into any of the industry that you fit in. Maybe it could be in banking for identifying banking frauds. It could be into data centers to analyze what is the kind of temperature you have to maintain in a server room, or it could be in a in a government agency where you can probably understand the requirement of investment for various population and the kind of tax that is being recovered from the citizens, right? So that's a perspective of utilizing, getting the right skill, and following the right path to be job ready. Then in terms of skill development plan, there are 4 steps that is involved, which includes research. What is the key area that you want to work on? What are those technologies that you want to work on? So that would be the research that you have to go through. Understand the demand, like if you are going to learn Power BI, or today if you decide that I will learn Excel. So do we have the demand? So we have to do the demand analysis. We have to understand the core skills that is required, probably the lists that Fahad already shared, and to understand the right curriculum, which is the forte that we carry in terms of building the right curriculum to train folks who are going to choose a specific area to skill themselves. So that is the development plan that we have, and that is a approach that we actually provide with. So helping you with the research, helping you understand the demand, guiding you through the core skills, and providing you the curriculum for the industry readiness or the job readiness. And as PamTen, how do we stand out? It definitely matters, because if you really look at the industry, or if you look at the internet, there are huge list of free content that is available on YouTube. You Google something, you get all the information. So what they basically provide is their generic knowledge information or knowledge bites, and they provide you basic technology training. However, those content are free, definitely, they are easy accessible, and you don't need to think twice to go through. But yes, how that differs from the paid content is basically, again, it provides you the technology training, but again, you get the use case training. So if you are specifically, or you are thriving towards a specific industry, the curriculum would have a couple of industry examples that gets you skilled. However, with PamTen, as you saw in the previous slide, we have those three-steps process that we drive in terms of training. Plus, our focus is about getting you ready for the industry. So from day one, once you understand how the organization works, you are able to deliver. That is our focus. So how we drive this is, apart from just providing you the generic knowledge, technology, and use case information, we give you hands-on experience in terms of the industry-ready data set. We provide you specific projects that that is delivered at a high performance, high pace in terms of DevOps and all those approaches, and we push you towards delivering those specific projects so that you are industry ready from day one, so that when you go into a corporate, when somebody is asking you to attend a Scrum call, you don't need to think twice. Okay, what is a Scrum call? I don't need to go ahead and Google to understand that, because those are some of those industry terms and industry readiness that we provide, so that from day one, you are a performer than actually just a learner. So that brings to the the overall slides and the inputs that we had from Fahad. Anything, Fahad, that you would like to add? And if not, then we can actually get into the question and answer session.
Yeah. So
great. So I think
we can look at for this quick Q&A. So any questions?
Yeah, great. So let's let's open this up for the question and answers, and we would be happy to answer any questions that you currently have. Okay, but while we get questions of Fahad, in terms of analytics, like what are the, like I did bring up a couple of tools like Tableau, Power BI, and ClickSense. So what is your thought process on these tools? Like as you brought that point of platform agnosticness, right? So what are your thought process on these tools or these technologies?
See, the tools are enablers, right? For example, driving. So you learn driving and you don't forget. It's a capability that you have, but you can drive basis the car that you get to drive, right? So maybe today you get a basic car with basic capabilities, and tomorrow you get a supercar with crazy capabilities. So it depends on what is the enabler that is there. But the basic skill is driving. The basic skill is knowing the rules of the road. Basic skill is knowing how to maneuver in the traffic. Basic skill is to understand when you apply brakes, right? So the point I'm trying to tell is that there are a lot of technologies, right? So you mentioned about the top three, Click, Power BI, Tableau, but there are, if you pick up a Gartner report and look at so many BI solutions, there are old, there are new, there are some modern, there are some innovative. So they're different, right? The only thing I would say is if you get these basics right, you will be comfortable working across any of these solutions. The only aspect is you might have to spend some time understanding how to do it in that particular. Like if you buy a new car, you spend some time to know the electronics or know how to use the car. Right? That's the only thing. But you don't learn driving in a new car, so you already know driving. That's how it. For me, that's the way these technologies are.
Okay,
one of the
Let me
questions
check
is, I think, which one they can look at learning, right? So like I said, I think you should look at a technology, or you should look at a course which can give you a holistic approach, right? Not only about teaching you a product, you can look at it and you can choose. And if you ask me, all the top 3 products have equal market space, and there are equal in number of jobs and requirements in the market. So be it Tableau, Power BI, Click. So you can pick any of the 3 and master yourself, and you'll be able to get to the job. I think the other question we have is, like, how is data science different than analytics, or what are the tools? Right. So data science is the next level of analytics. So what we spoke about is the analytics of bringing data, structuring it, and finding insights. Now, data science is an advanced process above analytics, which will allow you to find information within the data which is not easily visible to a regular analyst, right? So, and it is not easy to perform manually also. So that's why you use algorithms which can process. For example, what is data science? Running a query like a million times to understand some correlations. Now imagine if you sit and do it manually. None of the tools that I spoke about can do it, or you can't do it. That's where you bring in the algorithm which can automate the processing of 1 million times to find out the correlation. And that's what data science is all about. You write algorithms which can pick up data, do repetitive tasks, and identify and figure out what exactly the data is highlighting. Then also there are a few hidden aspects of data that, like I said, wouldn't come out easily unless you process the data a million times. So that's where you use advanced science and create algorithms and run it. The tools that are used are, the famous ones are R, Python. So these are open source. That means anybody can use them. There's no licensing cost to it. But there are some company-owned tools like Alteryx, Data Robot. These are all paid versions of this. All they do is they create these algorithms, and the companies can buy them and start using them. So again, if you are very keen on it, the data science needs certain more skills. For example, you could need coding capabilities, so you understand how coding works, how algorithm works. So you'll have to spend some time understanding that, and you can get on it. If you ask me, is it difficult? No, it's the only thing I consider is it's never too late. It's not too difficult. You can start anytime on any technology and master it, given that you have the appetite and the interest to do so.
So likewise, Fahad, like, as we brought up the points like Python and stuff, right? So I'm sure most of the folks would start thinking that, okay, if I'm using Python, if I'm using R, it's more around data science, and like why or how is it going to impact, or how is it going to support data analytics, right? So that's a standard question that I also used to usually get when I bring these kind of conversation up. So let me probably add something, and then you can add your views too, right? Because again, like as we talk about machine learning, as we talk about data science, and talking about bisecting and dissecting data through data analytics, it's all about, data analytics and data science go hand in hand. AI/ML is again another piece in and around it, right? So it's like probably one building with multiple rooms, and you cannot just get rid of one of the rooms because you don't like it or you don't need it, right? It's a consistent item. It keeps on this question keeps on coming back in circles, that how are they related? They are definitely related. They are very closely related, and they all go hand in hand. Probably there's most of the cases I would call it more of a hairline difference among each other, and they step into each other's zone anytime. What do you think about that?
Sorry, I lost you in between. What is that?
So what I was saying is, like, with this data science, AI/ML, and analytics, right? What I believe, or what I say, is usually it has a hairline difference, right? It's almost very identical to get confused, and they keep on stepping into each other's zone, but they are still different.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of difference. For example, data analytics is basically around bringing information out of data, right? Or getting the information, understanding what data is telling us and presenting that or using that data to make some decisions. Now, when it comes to AI ML, so it's basically creating that machine learning AI, which definitely requires data and analytics, but in itself is a process that can automate a lot of things. For example, AI, right? For like a very simple AI example is understanding the correlation between machine failures in a manufacturing industry. For example, during in a manufacturing industry, there is an arm which does the welding, right? So the arm, what it does is when the steel plates come together, the automated arm creates a welding, applies the welding rod, and there is a spindle to it, right? The spindle pushes the welding rod, and the welding happens. Now, this is where the automation has happened, right? So what has happened is all of the data is captured. When was the sheet metal that were pushed into the assembly line? When was the arm moved forward? What was the temperature? How much is the oil level? When was the last time the spindle was serviced? Who is the shift person that is using or operating that machine? All of these things, all of this data is captured. Now, the difference between analytics and data science or ML, machine learning, right? Analytics is understanding all of that information that who was like, for example, how many times did the spindle apply the welding? You can get the number. How many spindles are there in the entire assembly line? You can get the number. How many hours did that? You will get the answer. This is data and analytics, right? So you understand information, you draw patterns. Now, where does ML come in? So ML comes in that so basically the spindle has a certain angle that it has to sit in. So you capture that angle, right? Then there is a requirement for a certain angle for the material to come in. You capture that. Then there is a certain level of oil that is required. You capture that. Then there is a certain level of components that have to be serviced. You capture it. Now, once you get it, you apply your data science or algorithms to find out the correlation that if the oil was not changed for last 6 days, there might be debris in oil, and there's a probability of the spindle failure, and or even not even failure. The quality of the welding might go down because the spindle is not in the right position. Now, these aspects are not immediately visible in analytics, right? When you bring in information, it is not. When you run certain when you run certain processes on the data, is when you can correlate information, because the operator or the oil change might be in a different data set. The spindle angle might be in a different data set, which are not correlated in normal ways. For example, I can't simply say that oil is not changed, spindle will fail. It's a generic statement. To exactly understand why the oil did fail and when was the oil not changed and when can the spindle fail, needs a precise calculation of various parameters, comparative analysis done, and then a conclusion done. So that's the data science that you have to do it. Maybe I was able to communicate what the nitty-gritties are, but definitely there is a lot of difference. And the next level is machine learning, right? Machine learning is the entire system understands based on historical failures. So if the oil was not changed and the spindle had failed historically, the machine learned that, okay, it has to optimize the angle of the welding rod if the oil level is low. So, and it happens automatic. That's machine learning, right? So you enable or pump in the data for the machine to understand it. All right, so
yeah.
I think there's
and
one
there was
question.
a question. Sorry.
Yeah. So I see that. Do we need any minimum experience, data science, data analytics? See, I think to be really honest, that's a current challenge as to how people see it. So, like I said, there is a lot of demand for these technologies and capabilities, and it suddenly boomed, right? So if there was a process, if there was an organic growth, then there would have been a process of people hiring, training, placing, and working. Now there is a certain inorganic requirement of so many resources that everybody needs a person who can deliver now. That will get itself sorted. I'm seeing that trend changing. I'm seeing a lot of companies coming forward, hiring freshers, training, and placing them. One such is, I think, Sujit, your company also, PamTen, is planning to do that, right? And that's the process that you have
Right.
initiated these kind of sessions for people to understand. So I see,
Right.
like PamTen has started it. I see other organizations doing it. I think it's about just learning and trying to get into the right organization to learn and grow. Immediately, if you ask me, yes, there is a skew between how the demand is and what people want to hire and what the talent is. Like a lot of freshers want to get in, but like I said, the process, the intermediate step of training and placing is missing in this entire ecosystem, which is changing. I see a lot of companies coming forward. I think with PamTen also you can work it out and see how we can change that or create that step for freshers to getting into this workspace.
Yeah, definitely. Like as we have this, webinar sessions happening for quite a few weeks, and we are continuing to have these every month. Our approach is on the same lines that, how do we get the new skills into the right jobs, right? So it doesn't really matter whether, and that's where we said, we get industry ready, we get people to be job ready. So it's not that it is only for the folks who are experienced, it's also for, the college graduates. Yeah. Great. So that brings nearly, to the end of the session. And, like in case if anybody has any questions, they can reach us at contact@pamten.com. And any queries regarding any kind of trainings or any kind of information that you're looking around analytics, data analytics, you can shoot a mail, and we would be happy to address those. Okay. And in case if you have any further questions, you can ask now, or else we can close this session and we can connect again next month regarding the next session that we have, or next webinar that we have.
Very good. Well, thank you, Sujal and Fahad, for a very informative webinar today on data analytics and getting into the data analyst role. As Sujal said, we have another webinar coming up on Thursday, July 8th, all about data warehousing. So look out in your email for information on that session. And until then, we look forward to seeing you then, and thank you for joining today.
And just want to quickly add, we will be starting with the data analytics training in in June and August. So if anybody is interested, they can definitely reach us out at contact@pamten.com.
Very good. And I think you'll be receiving a survey, and that question will be asked. So if you have any interest in attending additional training on any of these topics that have been covered, please complete that survey. Thanks, and enjoy your day.